I'm number 2.
Live from Studio 304 in the KCOC Student Center, deep in the heart of Kaufman, Texas, it's The Tonight Show, starring Chris Dow. Tonight, join Chris and his special guest, Joey Wrape. Joey is the Family Life Involvement Minister at the North Davis Church of Christ in Arlington. He is a loving husband, a father of two, and he's here to share with you about how he sees God at work throughout his life. And now, here he is, your host, Chris Dow!
Glad y'all are here tonight. We are in our final countdown of Season 1. Season 1's coming to a close next week. This is our second to the last show. So you are in the right spot. You made the right choice. Lucky that you chose to be here instead of there, because here is the place to be. So here's some things that people are talking about. Don't know if you heard about this. There's a new holiday trend out this week. Just when you found the perfect ugly Christmas sweater, here comes an even tackier holiday trend: Christmas eyebrows. Christmas eyebrows. I don't know if you heard about this. Yeah. Take a minute. Let that soak in. This eyebrow-raising look is achieved by using some gel to separate out your eyebrows, make them into little peaks so that gems and stickers and other glittery objects can be attached to them so they look like little Christmas trees. This trend was popularized by YouTuber Taylor R., who posted a tutorial video. If you're interested in doing this, she posted a tutorial video on Tuesday, and since then, others have jumped on the eyebrow bandwagon. The revolution has begun. So I guess if men can decorate their beards for Christmas, I guess the women got a little jealous and said, well, I got facial hair here, so I guess I can decorate my eyebrows. They want it on the facial hair Christmas decorations. So guys got the beards, girls got the eyebrows. There you go. Next year, there's gonna be some guys decorating their beards and eyebrows. So put them together. I don't know. So before ugly Christmas sweaters go out of style and are replaced by Christmas tree eyebrows, it's time for our ugly Christmas sweater giveaway of the week. So each of you received a number as you walked in, and our special guest this week randomly picked a number before the show, and our lucky winner is number 17.
Woohoo!
We're 17. 17. All right. One of our adults is the winner this week, so you get to come down and open door number 2 as we count down the weeks.
Is it really?
So,
Yes, 17's my favorite number.
you're asking for proof now? Your son wants to see the ticket. Yeah.
I want the sweater.
All right, so you can open up door number 2 down there. And
That's my number, Mom.
That sweater is yours. So I guess I can pull it off the hanger.
Is that
So
a
the hanger's
vest?
attached. So there you go.
Reagan, you can work tomorrow.
I'll
There
get
you
it
go.
right now.
Comes with a special limited edition Tonight Show button as well. So there you go. Give her a hand on that. Let's keep those giveaways coming. Anybody bring a guest with them tonight? New guests? New guests?
I brought my mom.
Yes. Your mom's always here. So
Oh, she's not. She's
so,
downstairs.
All right, you haven't been. So you're new guest. So all right. So we'll count it. We'll count it. So
Don't forget
who's gonna claim her? Who's gonna claim her? All right. All right. So you, Drew. Skylar already got one.
You can give it to me if you want.
Oh, you got one. Yes.
Oh, yeah, you got one. Well, you give this to Isaiah. You give yours to Isaiah.
Looks good, Reagan.
All right. So, and we have 2 more prizes leading up to the big show. We're going to give away a few more things each week. two of you, two lucky winners, or someone sitting next to someone who's not here, there is a giant candy cane taped under two of the chairs.
I see it.
So,
All
right. There you go. All right. So that's yours. You get to keep the candy cane. The candy cane is your prize. So you didn't move. You should have. She saw it and she like pounced on it like a dog on a three-legged cat. So she saw that candy cane and went for it, man. Next week is our season finale, and you don't want to miss it. We got Doug Page stopping by, and I am challenging him. Y'all are my witnesses. Y'all are the first to hear this. And so because I'm making it public, he can't back out now. So it'd be shameful. So I'm challenging Doug right here at tonight's show in front of all of you to an egg Russian roulette challenge. So we'll be smashing eggs on our heads next week. For the conclusion of the show, you want to be here for that. Don't miss it. Invite your friends. We're going to have more giveaways, more stuff going on. But first, we have a fantastic show for you tonight. My lifelong friend and mentor, Joey Wrape, is here. It's going to be a great night, so y'all stick around. Don't go anywhere. Got a great show tonight. Glad y'all are here. Let's bring it in. Let's bring it in. Don't let that sugar rush from the giant candy canes hit y'all at once. So take it easy. Take it easy. So we're in our final 2 weeks, and the beard color challenge is still going on. Y'all brought it. Y'all brought it a couple weeks ago. And took advantage of Cyber Week and got the beard color going for the retreat weekend. But y'all gotta step it up and get some more people here if you want me to keep that color for a full week. So next week is that final week. The finale, we got some big giveaways, lots of stuff going on. Good week to bring your friends. We're smashing eggs on our heads. What's not to like? So let's pack this room out. Get your friends up here next week, and maybe you can stretch that beard color out a little bit longer. So I got one more week to get it done. So things going on in the community. Friday night was a tough night. So, huh? Sad night. It was. I mean, you gotta give mad props. I mean, Kaufman did awesome getting into the playoffs and going as far as they did. 12-2 season, but that season came to an end with their loss to Kendall on Friday night. So they are out of the playoffs now. But good job to them. Mad props to them. But playoffs are not over, and if you're itching for someone to cheer for, we can still cheer on our Kent. All right, your school lost and got out of the playoffs. Theirs is still in the playoffs, and you called them losers.
All of them losers.
You called them losers. All right. So Kemp is still alive with a 13-1 season. Let's bring it in. And they are going to be taking on Brock tomorrow night at Jerry World, AT&T Center. So should be a pretty easy win for them tomorrow night. So, I mean, they're just playing one guy. So it's a really small high school. It's just one guy. So Kemp is playing Brock. Like, he's all positions, offense, defense. So I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people on Kaufman's side. There's just one guy on the field. Maybe he's got a big family. I don't know. But yeah, so that's going on tomorrow night. So cheer on your brothers and sisters from Kemp and their good job as they're also in the playoffs and going along.
The farthest they've ever been.
Farthest that they've ever been. History making season. History making season right there. So that's something to be proud of.
Call it Cowboy Stadium. Some people don't know what Jerry World.
And they're playing at Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah.
That's Jerry World, AT&T Center, Cowboy Stadium. For those of you that don't follow, if you missed the Cowboy game, Cowboys won.
Yeah, they
Good
did.
week. So the field's all warmed up. It's got some good winning. Watch out.
So I saw Kemp actually got to practice at AT&T Stadium.
Yes, Kemp got to practice on the field, which is pretty awesome. So that's a pretty cool experience.
Is awesome.
I mean, even if that's, I hope they win and I hope they go further. But I mean, just to get to play there is, that's something to brag about. So, yeah, I never got to play there.
So. I went to school and I didn't even know how to win a game.
Yeah.
In any sport.
When I was in high school, my senior year, the band scrimmaged the varsity football players and won.
What?
So it was, well, they didn't make it through the whole game. The coaches found out what was going on and ended the game, but the band was ahead when the coaches called the game. So we got a great show for y'all tonight. So y'all stick around. We got a lot of stuff going on, and we'll be right back after this commercial break. Y'all are in for a treat tonight. We got a great guest stopping by the show. I'm really excited to have him here with us. I've known this guy my whole life. He is a family friend, my friend, and my mentor. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Mr. Joey Wrape. Doing good. Suck it up to the audience, bring the candies out to the green room.
What you gotta do.
There you go.
How's everybody doing?
Good. They're hyped up on Kazakhstan chocolate and giant candy canes. So
Candies in the world.
that's it. Candies
I
in
got
the
a
world.
piece of a while ago. I think I lost it too.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've been to Kazakhstan, so it's been eating on that for a while.
Well, it's got some
Yeah.
things in it. It just stays.
That's it. All right, we gotta bring it in, focus. Gonna start moving into some more serious stuff tonight, so ask that y'all be respectful, give your attention. So yeah, he doesn't work though. Every week people texting questions asking me to turn the Santa on, but he's old and doesn't. He's broke. He's broke. I gotta take him back to the elves and get him to fix him. So he's just here for looks. But so thank you for joining us tonight. Before we go any further and I forget, here is your commemorative special edition guest tonight show button. So yeah, you can put it on now. So there you go. So Joey and I are going to be talking up here, sharing some stories, talking about life. And if you'd like to join that conversation, you can by texting your questions in. And to join that group, text Chris Dowell 82 to 67607. And that will join you into that group, and you can text some questions in, and we'll.
Chris Dow 82. Is that when you were born?
Yep, that was when I was born. So 82. Back in the 82.
You're old.
Back in the good old days. So it's been a while.
Okay. I won't
So-
say when I graduate high school.
82.
I
wasn't born yet.
So,
You didn't either.
all right. You're not talking about how old we are now.
With gray hair.
We read about the 80s in history the other day.
People wore pink and blue pants and things. What happened here? What happened here?
Years of youth ministry.
Well, I was a youth
Stuck
minister
my
for
hair.
a long time.
Yeah, well, some hair turns gray, some hair turns loose.
Yeah.
So,
I'll take the gray.
That's it. So how's life going for you? So,
Fantastic, man. Fantastic, yeah.
Doing good. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about where you're at now, what you do? So.
Well, after 28 years in youth ministry, I said I'm done, I'm tired, I'm old, and I can't keep up with you guys anymore. That's not really the whole story, but the church at North Davis in Arlington called and said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody like you." I don't know why they were looking for somebody like me, because somebody like it's kind of scary. But so they said, would you come work with us? So I said, okay. So I work with their family life involvement. I work with their small groups, their welcoming group, and I basically, if you need something fixed, they say, could you go make that toilet stop ringing? And so I go do that too.
There you go. Sounds kind of familiar. I unplug a few toilets myself.
Yeah,
So.
you have to sometimes pretend you don't know anything, then they'll
Yeah,
actually do that.
yeah. No, I don't know how to fix that toilet. I'm sorry. So.
It's just gonna keep running.
Yeah. I'm too old to catch that toilet. It's gonna outrun me. So you got some cool stuff going on from your church. I think we had a picture.
Yeah, this was one worship. We've done this a couple of times. The three men are the one on the left is from Taiwan, the one in the middle is from Iraq, and the one on your right is from China. And they read a passage from 1 Peter from the Taiwanese Bible, Farsi Bible, and the Szechuan. It was actually Szechuan Chinese.
Wow.
So that they did that in service. It's kind of cool.
That is
It's really neat. We have about 3 Muslim families in our church. It's really kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a cool blending of things.
Yeah, the one in the middle right now, he and his family, to sell anything, our 3 Muslim families, all of them were translators for the U.S. Army. So they're here because they're rejects in their country now. But to sell all their possessions, you have to actually go back, sell your property, and then transfer it to a U.S. bank. So that's
Wow.
what that family in the middle, that's what they are right now.
Wow.
They have 3 of the most beautiful little kids. It's just the sweetest thing.
That's cool. And so, and then we talked a little bit earlier, how long we've known each other. It's been a while.
About 35 years.
35 years now.
2017 minus 1982 is about 35.
Yep. 35 years. So I got a picture of the 2 of us. We couldn't find any young ones. I don't think they had cameras back then. So, but there's our family.
This was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was in Victoria.
Yeah.
I was a youth minister
Came
there.
down.
And we came to their retreat.
I think it was like right after I started here. So it was like I started here and then went and guest spoke down there.
And I started to put in the picture where we killed the coral snake.
Oh yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but it's just on my phone.
There you go. So I think there's a picture of us fishing too, maybe. So
Who knows?
I didn't like it either. So it was my bad side. So
Every side is my bad side.
yeah. Computer crash. Weekly crash. So
It didn't crash.
Decided to take a nap.
It's blank.
About this time, huh?
It's just blank. There's no picture. It's just blank.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I guess we're here. We'll do charades.
There's a picture of me, and Joey. We're sitting on a dock fishing. It's
A really long dock.
It's an awesome picture. I'm really sorry you didn't get to see it.
We caught a whale.
Should have been there.
We caught a big
Yeah,
whale.
should have been
It was
there.
great.
Yeah,
We caught a whale.
yeah,
About that big.
yeah. It was. We were reeling in orca, so with a moose on his back. It was. I'm sorry the picture didn't come out. And I was just a baby when we met, so I don't really remember, or I blocked the memory. So how exactly was it that we met?
Well, actually, how we met was I was in the Navy at the time, and I was transferred to Norfolk, Virginia, and I started going to church. This little church called the Great Bridge Church of Christ, and I met this little 11-year-old redheaded kid who turns out to be your uncle Ernie, and your mom, and your grandfather had just passed away when I moved there, and so I get to hang out and I kind of just became Ernie's big brother, and your mom and dad showed up with you one day as this infant from Corpus Christi, and I went, hey, I'm from Corpus Christi, how convenient. And then 2 years later, we packed up in your grandmother's little car, and the moving van went ahead of us, and we drove across country, this little guy here, his mom, his uncle, his grandmother, and me, and we settled your grandmother and your uncle back in Corpus Christi.
Yep. So good times. And then in Corpus, we went to church together growing up, and you met Andrea there.
Mm-hmm. I was the singles guy there, and I married her. And next thing you know, that's her right there. I married her, and now they wouldn't let me be the singles guy. So they said we want a single guy to be a single guy. Okay, so that's what happened. So
married yourself out of a job.
Married myself out of a job. It was all right.
Yeah.
It was okay though.
And then, so how long have y'all been married?
This year will be 29 years.
29 years. All right. I remember the wedding, but I don't remember how old I was, so I couldn't do the math.
I remember the
so.
wedding. I was there.
You were there, so I was there. I was up in the balcony. So. And then y'all have 2 kids.
We do. We have a son who's 25. His name is Trey. He's Joseph the Third, and he is the worship minister at the Golf Course Road Church in
Midland.
Midland. Yeah, that place. And then my daughter, to the cute little redhead right there, is named Jordan, and she's 21. And the next picture will show the 2 of them. Just a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, actually, we were at their house in Midland, and my daughter was with her brother chumming up. And then about 2 years ago, we had an addition to the family, and her name is Chelsea, and they are married. She's a school teacher in the school district there in MISD, and in less than a week, I will be a grandfather.
Yeah.
His name is going to be River Camden Rapp. So there you go.
So, maybe a picture of the whole family there.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
So I asked my wife asked why he wasn't going to name him the 4th, and he said he didn't want to name his son Quad. So there you go. There you go. So there you go.
It works. It works. So we've known each other a long time, and even when I was in youth group, the church where you were at in New Braunfels, and our church did a lot of things together. So we grew up, doing work camp and camp. And seeing each other a lot, growing up doing that, and so how long have you been in full-time ministry?
This year was my 30th year, and so this is my 2nd year in this church. So about 30 years.
30 years in full-time ministry, but then you did some volunteer ministry before.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit, but wherever I was stationed in the Navy, they seemed to go, "Can you teach kids?" Yes. Oh, guess what? You're going to teach the youth group. And so I was stationed in San Diego, California for 2 years, and I taught the youth group at the church there. And then the 2 years I was in Norfolk, I taught at Great Bridge. And then I was in Kingsville for almost 3, and I drove back and forth. That's when I started working with the singles there. So.
All right. So how many total you think, doing all your volunteer in?
Almost 40.
Almost 40 years. Wow. That's and I spent a summer with you, interned with you one summer.
And you survived it.
And I survived it. So we had a lot of fun that summer.
And I'm just going to tell you right now, okay?
All right.
Okay, so
who's coming?
First week he's working with me.
First day.
Oh, that's right. It was
First day.
First day where you and Kate were both there.
Yeah. First day that I'm working, and the first time meeting my the female intern for the summer, my coworker.
Now she grew up in my youth group, so she was familiar with me. And so we ran back to the office because we forgot something.
Yeah, y'all were showing me around town.
We're showing him around town. We'd just gone to this little hole-in-the-wall Mexican food place that we always like to eat at. And
you decided you needed a Dr. Pepper, and so
all of that
church.
That's right. And so all of that kind of worked into not settling so well with me. Mm-hmm. And Kate gets out, runs in the building, and
to get the Dr. Peppers.
Get the Dr. Peppers. And
this is all a ploy by Joey to get Kate out of the van to go get the Dr. Peppers.
Because I needed to let him experience working with me. Do I need to explain that a little more to anybody? Okay, so
his name is Sir Farts a Lot.
Yes. So anyway, it was not one of those come and go.
No.
It stayed in the van.
It stuck to you.
We tinted the van windows. Let's put it that way.
The eyes were watering. The paint started peeling off the outside of the van.
And he's over here going, "Whoa," and I go, "Don't put the windows down. Don't put the windows down. You got to take it like a man." And so we're sitting there, and all of a sudden Kate opens the door, and I go, "Man, Chris, that is awful." And so the whole summer, Kate thought Chris was bad.
Yeah. It's like once somebody blames a fart on you, you got to take it.
You just own it.
Because if you fight against it, it's like quicksand. You're just gonna get sucked in more. So I said it's like my first day on the job. Never met this girl before, and she thinks that I have like the world's worst gas. That was the first day on the job. A lot of fun that summer, But if you talk to any of Joey's interns, you find out that that's pretty much a trend that at some point during the summer he will blame his gas on you.
Or something.
Or something.
Yeah.
But mostly gas.
I remember that same summer we tore out a window in the upstairs classroom.
Yeah.
So that we could put new windows in, and we broke about 3 chains and 2 car. But then when you broke it, I was like, "What did you do? I changed my mind." And then he was panicked, and I was like, "No, we videotaped it all. It's all good."
I'm an easy guy to break. So you tell me that I messed up, and I'm gonna freak out about it. So.
And he was so worried, even though he'd known me his whole life, he was so worried that he was going to mess up all summer. I go, "Dude, just relax. You got this. You just don't kill anybody, and we got a good summer going." And it was only Kate actually hit another church van.
Yeah.
She hit the church van where you went to church.
Yep.
They showed up for work camp that year.
While driving the truck from another church.
Yes.
Pulling a trailer owned by a different church.
They had a brand new van they brought up for the work camp, and it started with a tag on it, and she took a van down, the trailer down the side of it and swiped it. So we just called them, told them to put it in the shop, and they got home, we'd fix it. So we did.
Yep.
But my favorite was the video you shot for that. Chris has had a beard ever since, he didn't have one at 3 years old, although we could see it coming.
3.5.
He started shaving at 4. But that summer he had a really scruffy, it's kind of like what mine looks like right now, but it was a little thicker. And we had, every year at these work camps, we always had kids who'd get sick because they wouldn't eat at lunch and they wouldn't drink, so they'd dehydrate. So I told him about what we used to do when I was a teenager. We'd pull up at a red light. Now don't do this, guys, when you start driving because you'll get in trouble. But the parents are going to stop talking, just stop. But we would pull up at a red light and open the car door and take a can of soup and dump it out, and it looks like puke. So he puts it in a plastic bag, and I go, "This is what happens if you don't drink." Well, it was chicken and stars, Campbell's chicken and stars. So he does it he breaks the bag into this trash can. Well, now he's got stars all clumping out here. And so he walked by me and I go, "Dude, you spilled chicken noodle soup." He goes, "I can't get it out of my beer. It's all in there." So that was another fear I had of growing this thing this time.
It was a good video there. Those kids drank their water that week.
And we didn't have any kids get sick that year.
Yeah. After
Nobody
you
wanted
see an
chicken
intern
stars.
grow up on camera. So.
Nobody wanted chicken stars in their beards.
So getting into the more serious side of ministry.
Should be.
Yeah, I guess we should. That's the problem when you get 2 ADD people together.
We're in trouble.
We're gonna go off, but thankfully I have some points here to make sure that we stay on track. So talking about your ministry and the ministry that you do, and for 40 years, doing ministry. You have kind of some foundational elements and things that you base your ministry on. And this idea of loving radically and intentionally and praying like you believe God can and will do amazing things.
Yep.
And I know you have a couple stories to kind of share with us about some of that ministry and how those things play out and why those are foundational elements in what you do.
Yeah. From the time I was a little kid, I'm a third generation minister. My dad was a preacher. My son is so. But from the time I was a little boy, I remember we didn't have a lot because in those days preachers got paid basically with food or here's 50. I can remember as a time my dad made $50 a week. But my dad and my mom always took care of other people. If we went fishing, my dad would catch extra fish and give it to poor people in our neighborhood. We lived in South Houston off of Buffalo Speedway. That's the word I was thinking. We lived off Buffalo Speedway when I was a little boy, and everybody in our neighborhood, we were the only Anglos in our neighborhood. We had Indians and Latinos, and we had Africans, Nigerians, and all these in our neighborhood. We were the only Anglos. And so my dad, when he'd go fishing, would always catch extra and give it to all of our neighbors. And so I saw him this giving to others and taking care of other people. And when we would be driving down the road, somebody would be walking. My dad, this was a different time, but my dad would pull over and give them a ride. Every year on vacation, we'd go to Georgia to see my grandparents, and we'd stop. There would be a car broke down the side of the road. My dad was the guy to stop and help them fix their car. And so it just kind of became a part of my life. And when my children were little, we would go out to eat at Taco Bell or something like that, and I would there'd be somebody homeless or somebody hungry and ask for, if we'd give them $1, I'd say, I don't have any money for you, but you're welcome to join my family for dinner or for lunch. And so my children saw that from a very early age, and it was intentional. I wanted them to see that, and not so they can say, look how great my dad is, but look at what we do because there's somebody who's in need, we're going to take care of it. I just remember that being a part of my family's life, and a couple of years ago, my son called me, and he was living in East Dallas, and he lived in a pretty rough neighborhood, but that's where he and his wife chose to live. And he called me and said, Dad, I gotta go. There's a bunch of people who need water. And I went, what? And well, then his phone died. So the dad in me is panicked, like, what's wrong with my son? Well, he called me, gets home, plugs his phone. Dad, sorry, my phone died. There were 8 guys out there who were homeless, and they didn't have any drinks. So I bought some water. And it was in never prouder as a dad than to go, yeah, there you go. But it spilled over into my ministry, and I always wanted the young people in my youth group, everywhere I worked, to know the value of helping others. Whether it was just we used to call, y'all have heard of private rake and run. We would go in the fall we'd find people, especially older folks who just can't do anything. We'd go out and rake their yards, and we'd do it before they got up, and we would bag it all up and leave it tied up and ring the doorbell and get in the van and run off, you know. And just simple little things like that. But when I got to Dallas in 2004, we moved up to Garland, and my first summer with this, I finished out a ministry of a previous guy, and we got home from our mission trips, and the elders said, well, how was it? And I said, it's the best vacation I've ever had. We went to Colorado Springs, and we spent, brace yourselves, we spent $40,000 to do a VBS. And I was ashamed. And so the elders said, what would you do? I said, we should start working with the homeless. And so we began taking them to the bridge and to downtown. Of course, then I got told, well, you know, you can't feed them in downtown Dallas because you'll get a ticket. And I go, okay, well, so write me a ticket. Well, what I found was we'd go down there and we'd start feeding them, and the police would walk up and say, by the way, when you're done here, 2 blocks over, there's 10 more people over there who are hungry. And they weren't good. The cop was like, I'm not writing them a ticket for that. I don't want my name on that. And so we just began to do that. I'd take them to Salvation Army every month or something like that. Whenever I couldn't book something, we'd just take them into the streets. And I had parents that would always go with us, and they would say, kids just really like this. I go, because they understand. They have you guys have a servant heart. And that's what we want to do, is just to love radically. I'm not here to judge why you're homeless. I'm not here to judge why your life's a mess. I'm here to take care of you and to help you. So that's what I wanted to do. And what we would do is, the very next summer, what we started doing is, at the end of the summer, the 8th graders got to go on a mission trip with me, and we went to Washington, D.C. every year. And my reason for doing that was intentional, again, because what we would do is we would have them see that the greatest country in the world, in the most powerful city in the world, with the most money in the world, also had one of the highest populations of homeless in the world. And the dichotomy of that is just not right. I mean, you think, okay, we're the most powerful, wealthy nation in the world, and we have one of the largest homeless populations. And so I wanted them to see that, and they would work in the food pantries and the soup kitchens and the places like that in Washington, D.C. And that's when we met this lady here. This is the next pictures. And this lady is a dear friend of mine, who's been locked up again, but Diane was a graduated high school from Baltimore, Maryland. And when she got out of high school, she was really smart, but she didn't want to go to college. She took a job as a nanny. And life was good to her, and she made decent money, but she got overweight, and she got to where she couldn't keep up. And this is her telling the story when we asked her the first time we met her. One of the things they had to do was our young people had to do a homeless simulation. And she was there working as one of the people there, and she would yell at the kids, and they were like, ah! And, because this lady's going, because they would laugh, and then she'd yell, and then they'd get kind of scared. And she goes, homeless isn't funny. But so she couldn't, by her own admission, she couldn't keep up with the children she was nannying anymore, so she went to the family and resigned. And they begged her to stay on. They said, our kids love you. She said, but I had one go out in the street, he wasn't run over, everything was good. And she goes, I just think that's the best thing for me. Well, after her money ran out, because she lived with them, she just basically saved when her money ran out, she found herself out of an apartment and out on the street. And she said what woke her up was one night she was sleeping in a box because it was so cold in Washington, D.C. And the bars closed at later times in Washington, D.C. than Texas. It was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and she was sleeping and she woke up to 3 men urinating on her. And when she told me the story, I got mad. But she said she rolled over and sat up on her knees and said, Lord, wake me up. I need to do something. And she said that she didn't really do anything. The next night she was in a box and somebody walked up and lit the box on fire. And it turns out it was the same 3 guys that had urinated on her. And she rolled around, got her fire out. One of the 3 guys felt ashamed, went and got a blanket and gave it to her. And the next day she showed up at this shelter and said, what do I do? And we got to know her, and our youth group every year would go, we'd meet her and spend time with her. We flew her to the church we were, to her speak to our kids. She became a very integral part of mine and my wife's lives. There's a couple more photos there if you can get them to work. If not, there's one where we actually showed up one year and she spent the whole week with us, walking around with us. There she is, she's talking to the kids there. This is not the first group, this is like the next to last group she worked with me. And she's just sharing the story of her life, and these kids are just enthralled with what she's saying. She has a presence about her. The year that my daughter was an 8th grader, I called her the week before. She said, I can't wait to see you, Joey. I'm so excited. She called Andrea right back and said, y'all need to hurry. Well, that didn't register to me. We're going to be there in 4 days. We'll be there. We're hurrying. When the plane landed, we got the kids settled, got them to the hostel we were staying at. It was the basement of the church, and I started trying to call her. I couldn't reach her. And the Fairfax Church of Christ in Washington, D.C. had kind of taken her into their own. And a lady that was a friend of ours there went to find her and found her dead in her apartment. And she had had cancer and didn't tell anybody. She didn't want the treatment, so it had taken her life. And so it's been pretty hard. I consider her a dear friend. She really helped open my eyes to what it meant to really serve without, questioning why people are where they are. And Diane she is buried in front of the Luther Place Church in Washington, D.C. They have an area on one of the circles. The Luther Place Church sits on one of the big circles right next to the National Christian Church and all that. And they have what they call a pauper's grave in the front, and her ashes are buried there in front. So every year we'd go back, we get to see her. But she taught me something else. She taught me to pray like God can do anything. And that's hard because you start telling yourself, I asked for God to give me this and He didn't give it to me. I asked for God to do this and He didn't do this for me. And she told me, she goes, God will do great things whether I'm here or not. And so she said, have faith that God will love you and God will take care of you. And one of the things I wanted to add a story is that I'm one of many ministers in my family. What I mean by that is my great-grandmother was born in the mid-1800s. She was born on a Cherokee Indian reservation. And at 14, she married a white man. And he was 19 years old. I was telling somebody that the other day. They were like, okay. It was a different time. At 14, it was probably 1864. I think she was born about 1850, 1851, somewhere in there. And before, within 2 or 3 years, she met a man that began to tell her about Jesus. And her husband became Christians, and she started praying, God, when I have kids, I want at least one of them to be a minister. She had 11 sons, and none of them were preachers. However, she continued to pray that, and my son is the 14th of those men and families that are ministers now. Mm-hmm. And it's a matter of believing that whether you're there to see it, God will do great things. I tell the story that when we decided to move to Nashville, we had been not Nashville, moved to Dallas. We had been in New Braunfels for 9 years. Loved New Braunfels. I mean, y'all, anybody ever been there and float the river? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody been in Schlitterbahn? Mm-hmm. Is Chris not taking you on a Schlitterbahn? No. Wow. Okay, well, I guess this interview's over.
Way
No,
to throw me under the bus there.
yeah. They're all going, so we're going to summer, right? No. But we love being there. We have great family friends that are still our close friends there. The family that Chris lived with that summer still thinks of Chris as their oldest son. And Chris got to be a part of their oldest daughter was killed in a car wreck a few years ago, and Chris got to be a part of that funeral with us. But we when we left there, we were wrestling with we were in the process of building a new house. Am I going long?
You're all right.
Like he just talking away. We were in the process of building a new house, and I got a phone call from a friend, and he said, "Hey, our church is looking for a junior high minister." Well, you have to understand the thinking behind that, because most people would say junior high. How many of you in junior high? Raise your hand. Okay. Most adults are terrified of you. For either I'm crazy or something, but I just love you, junior high kids. I did. Okay. But the church I work in New Braunfels, I kept thinking we need to have ministry. I need to focus more of my time on junior high. And I had a dad that kind of picked up the slack, but every year I had put in our budget to hire a year-round intern that would work with high school, and I would spend predominantly my time with middle school. And every year they kick it out of budget, and I was getting a little frustrated by it. So my friend calls me and says, "Hey, our church is looking for a middle school junior high minister." And you had to know the whole story. He had just told me 3 months before, sitting in a boat of mine, sitting in our boat in Canyon Lake, going, "I hate this place. I'm miserable." And so then he called me and says, "Do you want a job there?" I was like, no way. But then he says, things have changed. Things have gotten better. And I think it's an improvement. So Andrew and I started praying about it. And we began to get down to we began to interview the process, and we began to go through it. And it looked like they might be interested in me. Just shut me up when interviewed. But I believe strongly in the power of prayer, and so Andrew and I said, well, let's just pray like Gideon. And I said, God, here's the fleece. We have this house that we're building, and we're stuck with it, and we can really lose a ton of money because we have put a lot of our own sweat equity into this house being built. And if you want us in the Dallas area, you just show us. Help this house, something happen. And we began praying that, and a week later I got a phone call from our builder. He said, "Hey, the mortgage company's going to call you tomorrow about the financing." And I went, "Okay, so God, that's my answer. I'm not moving." Well, the mortgage company called me the next day and said, "Mr. Wrape, I see here you work at this, and you're doing this, and your wife still works at such a..." I went, "No, my wife doesn't work there anymore. She's gone back to school. She's gone to nursing school." "Well, does she have any side income or anything?" "No." He goes, "Do you have any divorce income?" I go, "Really? I'm a minister. No, I don't have divorce income. I don't have child support. No, I don't have any of those things. I'm not saying those are bad things, but I didn't have any. No, I was giving them to me." He goes, "Well, I'll call you back in a little bit." And about an hour later, he called back and says, "Mr. Wrape, we can't finance this house." And I went, "Okay, well, God, there's the first answer." So that night, Andrea got home from school, and we started praying, God, we're going to turn the fleece over, and we've put close to $20,000 and plus our sweat equity in this house. And sweat equity just means you did some of the work. And God, at least, if you still really want us to go, show us how we can do it, because our money is sunk in this house. And that was on a Tuesday. We started praying that. And Friday afternoon, I went out to the mailbox. I was off on Fridays, as ministers are. Opened the mailbox, and there was a check for the entire amount. They actually sold the house for $20,000 more than we were buying it for. I was like, wait, that's a pretty good house. And then what was funny was my wife still didn't have an income. We moved here, and we bought a house that was $50,000 higher than we were buying there on the same income. And didn't even blink an eye. So that tells me that God does answer prayer. It doesn't always answer it the way you want. I mean, to give you another story, I have a young niece that passed away when she was 8 months old. And we prayed and 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 prayed. and God help us, God take care of her, heal her, and she didn't make it. Yet, I know that God's hand is still at work in my sister and brother-in-law's life. And so I don't understand all that, but I know God's at work in prayer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's, that's what we want to talk about, is just that that idea of the work that God does through our lives, and to hear those stories of God's faithfulness and that promise and that care, even when things don't work out the way that we want them to. God's still in control, and God is working through those and providing through those things. We're going to talk a little bit more after this commercial break. We'll be back, answer some questions. So y'all stick around. Y'all remember when y'all were dancing and I was filming that, you do. So yeah, don't miss the Christmas party this Sunday night. And you all need to dress festive, bring a friend, and $10. The $10 is going to buy a gift, or actually to buy gifts for a family who otherwise is not going to have any gifts for Christmas. So bring at least $10. If you want to contribute more, you can do that, but be here. We'll be here from 6 to 9. We're going to have dinner here. We're going to go shopping, buy those gifts, wrap those gifts, and hopefully deliver those gifts to this family. And so don't miss out on being a part of shining that light and sharing that Christmas spirit and love. So be here Sunday night. Bring your friends. Going to be a lot of fun. A lot of good stuff. So we were talking before the break. You shared several stories from ministry. Got a couple questions that have come in from our audience. So one, what advice would you give students who are interested in becoming youth ministers or preachers?
I would think if you have a heart for ministry, just start hanging out with this guy. Watch what he does, and people think that, I used to laugh, people would say, well, you only work like a couple days a week, and I go, okay, well, I was at a church once where the elder said, well, why don't you just give us a schedule of what you do every day? So I did that for a month and gave it to him, and he went, never mind. But know that it always looks like fun and games, because that's what we work on, is making sure that you have a great time, because I was raised by professors who believed, you had to teach them the word and never smile. And I kind of had this mentality that always drove me, shame on us if we make the gospel boring. And so I tried to find fun things to do to make people want to, and I know he does as well. I mean, this is a great idea, this Tonight Show thing. And so I think that what I would do is start asking questions, start looking around, go to Doug, go to Chris, and go to some other people, and just kind of, if you have that heart for ministry, if you have the passion for it, do it. What I always tell people too is that when you do ministry, it's because you can't not do it. Does that make sense? You just feel so drawn to it that you know that you probably could do anything else in the world, but you can't do anything else in the world because you will never be satisfied unless you're serving people. Does that answer that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. So looking at this idea of, you talked about the way that you were raised, the way that you raised your kids, and even implementing into your youth group of loving radically and intentionally, and looking for those opportunities of service and to lean into people's lives and to help those neighbors around you. What would be something, some tangible things, kind of daily things, practice things that anyone would be able to do? Kind of thinking about, well, maybe I don't have money to take somebody out to eat, or I don't have a car to give somebody a ride, or but just kind of some of those things that families could do or students could do to help be more intentional in the way that they love people around them.
Okay. One of the things that did I cut you off?
Nope.
Okay. One of the things that Diane taught my kids and me even was that there are people, and the homeless talk about this a lot. We have this tendency, you ever notice when you're with your parents, you pull up at the light and there's the person standing with a little cardboard sign, will work for food, or hungry, homeless, veteran, those different ones like that. We have a tendency to look straight ahead and never acknowledge they exist. And Diane said to my kids one time, she said, you don't have to give us anything but acknowledge that we're human. The greatest thing we can do is to love people. And it doesn't mean you have to go, oh, I love you, and get all mushy. It just means to treat people like human beings. When the Bible says love your neighbors yourself, it doesn't mean go over there and make it awkward. It just means to love them and accept them and see them as people created in the same image that you were created. What I wanted my kids to do was to love people. When I was in Victoria a couple of years ago, we had a man come in one night. Our building we opened up on weekends, especially when it was cold. We opened up and let people sleep in the back of our building. But we had showers in our building, and we would let the homeless come there 2 or 3 nights a week, even in the summertime, and shower. And a guy came in one night. He came in the wrong door, and he starts crying and starts telling me the story. And I go, and his name was Raul, and I said, Raul, you need to know, you're in a no judging zone. I said, there may be people who do, but when you're standing with me, this is a no judging zone. I am no different than you, and I have made mistakes that have messed me up. The difference is that I'm on the other side of one of those. So I'm here to walk you back, let you get a shower, and come back, and you and I'll sit down and talk. And we sat and talked for a while. The guy came home from work one day, his wife had packed up everything, left the children in an empty house, took everything, furnishings and everything, left the kids empty for him.
Wow.
That's the world we live in, guys. We live in a broken world, messed up world. And our job is to be purveyors of grace, to be people who love people in spite of their flaws, because God loved us in spite of ours.
I want to thank you for being here with us tonight.
Glad to be.
And sharing those stories, and just the love that y'all have, that you have for students, the passion that you have for God and His people, and the way that you have lived out your life of loving intentionally and radically, and the time and time again of turning everything over in prayer to God and trusting His guidance. And so I thank you for your example in my life for all these years, and I thank you for the example that you set in hundreds and probably thousands of students' lives over the years that you have dedicated your life to serving God and ministering specifically to youth and now to adults. So We're going to go to a commercial break, and then we got a fun little game to close out the night. So y'all stick around. We are back. So we got a fun little game to end up the night. But one note on that last commercial break for the fall retreat. Do not miss out. Grab one of these. Get registered. The deadline is Sunday. So Sunday. Don't miss the deadline. Get one of these. Get it filled out. Get it turned in. If you forget to bring it Sunday morning, you can come back Sunday night for the Christmas party and still turn it in. So you get a double shot opportunity to turn it in on Sunday, but Sunday is the deadline. So make that So, there is a $10 late fee if you turn it in Sunday night. So you gotta bring $10 to the party to turn it in there. The holidays are upon us. We're in the final 4 countdown, final couple weeks before Christmas break. And there's a lot of pressure in the holidays to have a fa-la-la-la-labulous attitude about it. But the holidays can also be a stressful time. And sometimes you just gotta get the rage out. And so that's what we're gonna do tonight. But we're gonna do it in a little fun, helium-filled way. So here it is. We're gonna do the big blow-up holiday edition. So the way this works is we have our balloons. We're gonna bite a little hole in it. The one rule is you can only rage for as long as the helium lasts. So let the seasonal complaining commence.
I don't like that pop artists come to sing rap songs all year long. You step into Macy here, let it snow.
You're out. Take one more? Yeah, there.
Let it snow 8 times before you hit home goods. I have enough versions. We want some new Christmas songs.
I don't like Starbucks gift cards. I remember that wasn't exactly enough, so I'm going back to Starbucks one last time and spending $5.50 out of my pocket just so I don't feel like I'm losing the 19 cents that I still have left on my gift card.
I don't like people who pretend to like eggnog. It's just liquid mayonnaise with a hint of cinnamon. Ah!
I don't like Christmas carols. Back away from my house. If I wanted people wearing too many layers singing loudly outside my door about times long past, I'd finally pony up for the Hamilton tickets.
I don't like people who wear ironic Christmas sweaters. What else do you pick up while you're wearing the Urban Outfitters? An original personality, perhaps? Wake up!
Oh.
Wake up!
That was.
I'm offended.
That's a really long one. I don't like when people open their presents slowly and and attempt to save the wrapping paper so they can reuse it again. It's taking you forever. Nobody wants your re-gifted, wrinkly wrapping paper. We know what you did.
I don't like last-minute shoppers. Every year you tell yourself you're going to buy presents earlier, but now you're at Target at 5:30 on December 24th, making me stand in line to buy a roll of toilet paper. I need TP. We've been eating nonstop ham. I don't like the motorized wicker reindeer that people put in their front yards this time of year.
I've nearly wrecked a dozen times because I was convinced that demon-possessed reindeer skeletons were lightly grazing in the front yard.
Speaking of reindeer, I hate the one reindeer named Cupid. Wrong holiday, dude!
Speaking of wrong characters, I don't like bad holiday advertising. Come on, blinking Santa nose people, Rudolph has a light-up nose!
And what's with people who dress up like Santa when they're not really Santa?
You really like that to breathe out.
We should sing or something. We should sing. I don't know what to sing.
Sing Jingle Bells, darling.
It's up to you.
No nights in church.
I have to drive an hour.
Or you can
We represent Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer with a very shiny nose.
All right, so we're gonna pray as we close out the night.
All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you very much for this awesome night. I thank you for my friend and mentor, Joey. Thank you for his family and all of the ways that you worked through him and his life. And I just pray that you would continue to fill him daily with your spirit. Father, that you would continue to pour over him in wisdom. Father, that you would pour over his family in blessing. I thank you for the blessing of this grandbaby they're getting ready to welcome in any day now. And Father, I just thank you for all the ways that you care for him and bless him, and just pray for many, many, many more years of powerful ministry through him. Father, I pray that you would help us all to be able to see with your eyes and to love with your heart. Father, to love more radically and intentionally each and every day. And Father, to pray with belief that you are going to do something and that you will move in our lives. Father, I thank you for the example that Joey has set for many, many years, for all of his life. And Father, I pray that we too would set that same example in our lives as faithful followers of you who are filled to overflowing with your love, who are excited about daily walking and doing your ministry and seeking people that we can share your love with. Be with us for the rest of this week. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you guys for coming. Make sure you're here next week. Joey wants to